Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome to another episode of the Day After podcast. It's me and Nina. So just me and Nina. Charlie's obviously in America. Lewis, nobody knows where Lewis is. He's probably still celebrating.
Somewhere.
And I mean, God, we were both watching the game. You were watching from Bulgaria, though. I didn't even know you were out there.
Yeah, I was. I feel like every single time, because obviously I'm out here every summer, and Chelsea is in such a drastic different phase every summer I'm here, whether it's pre-season, whether we're, just casually becoming Club World Cup champions,
How'd you
champions
do?
of the world, whatever you want to call it. So it's always exciting, and you could just never tell in which phase we'll be when I'm out here again. That's what keeps it exciting. But yeah, I mean, I'm so ecstatic, Alex. Obviously, we had a call earlier and just spoke about how incredible it was. Like, I woke up this morning and I was like, did that really happen? Was that real? Because I said in my match review, it surpassed any expectation anyone could possibly have had. Because if you thought we'd win, fair play, you always believe it. But to think we'd do it in that way, I mean, yeah, over the moon. I think such a great day for us.
Am I sort of wrong in saying I feel like this is a pretty fair statement? It's the best performance we've ever had, not even under Maresca, under Clearlake and Bowley's ownership.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another game that can compare. I mean, for me, I don't think that there's many you can. I mean, in terms of results, maybe you could use like the Dortmund game or something like that. But I mean, in terms of the team we were facing, the way we played, the result, the style, none of our players looked poor. Everyone looked great. I can't think of a better performance under Maresca. I can't think of a better performance under Poch. Can't think of a better performance under Potter, Lampard, even Tuchel when he was here as well. It's the best performance since they bought the club.
100% agree, Alex. I mean, it was so complete and well-rounded. And one of the biggest talking points we've always had, even in our great performances and the ones that are better than others, is that you can pick out a handful of players that have done well, or you could talk about a few good points. But how many games have we ever said where all 11 players have genuinely put on the performance of their lives? Like, they were all spot on. Maresca set it up and got it right perfectly. Like, there's not many games. And like you say there, you have to take into consideration the opposition. That just makes it all the more better because the odds weren't in our favour. Let's be real, PSG have put up some crazy stats this season. They've arguably had one of their best seasons ever. And, winning the Champions League, coming up against them as Conference League winners, to do it in the way we did after the fact that, even when we went 1-0 up, Alex, I thought to myself, this PSG team does not concede goals. Yet here we are, we've just scored so early on. And to go on score another 2 and keep a clean sheet, yeah, mate, it doesn't get any better than that. I'm just thrilled with what I watched.
I mean, before the game, I said, why not? Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's do a combined 11, see who I can get in this Chelsea team, like who can actually get in there. And I put Colwell in instead of Pacho. I put Caicedo in the midfield. I think that you kind of had to do that one. And I put Palmer in the 10. And those are the only 3 players that, in my opinion, could match what PSG have. So
I think you put more in than other fans would have, to be honest with you.
I mean, Colwell and Pacho, I get. Yeah, I mean, there's an argument maybe there. Caicedo would get into PSG's team. I'm sure he would, and Palmer would, I think, as well. You don't think so?
After yesterday's performance, in hindsight, you'd absolutely say yes.
I think he would. I think. But yeah, I was watching the game and I don't know what your prediction was beforehand. I don't know if you made one. I didn't have like an exact prediction, but I thought, right, we're either going to lose heavily or we're going to win, but it's going to be a hard-fought victory in like extra time or something like that. We're not going to thrash these guys. I mean, they just beat Real Madrid 4-0 or whatever it was. So just going in there. And first of all, seeing the lineup when we started off, I thought, okay, what are we doing here? We've got James in the midfield. And I was like, I had my phone with the lineup. I'll be honest, I threw my phone on the floor. I was like, God, it's over. done. I get a bit
Yeah.
emotional, and then obviously, Sanchez in goal. I thought he would be the weak link in that squad. I said that before. I said, if we're going to lose this game, it's going to be because of our goalkeeper, not because of anyone else. That turned out to be quite different. But I mean, talk to me about how you felt before the game when you saw the lineup leading up to it. What was your feeling coming into it? And then did you have any confidence? Because I'll be honest with you, I sort of felt quite calm because I was quite happy just the fact that we got to the final. I didn't feel like this huge amount of pressure for Chelsea to win, which is why it was so great that we did.
Yeah, I mean, like you, I was a little bit like, to be honest, not worried. Worry's not the word, because I felt pretty content, like you said, to be in that final in the first place and to actually have a go at playing PSG, that opportunity. Because, you look at the opposition we played in the Conference League, obviously in the Premier League, we played some top sides, which we played well against, but didn't ever manage to beat. So I just thought it's such a good opportunity to go toe to toe with some of the best players in the world with where we are at the moment. And for Maresca to have an opportunity to go against Luis Enrique, who's up there with, some of the best managers in the world right now. So to have that opportunity alone was great, in my opinion. And it never would have been embarrassing to lose to PSG. More so, I just wanted to kind of, again, put our strengths to the test, see what we could do in that game. And maybe I didn't expect us to win, but I always thought and I always believed at the back of my mind, you have that optimism there, you have always that what if lingering. And I spoke to my dad yesterday, and before, he had the same reaction to the lineup, but then he said something like, whenever we've put out really good lineups, sometimes it's actually gone to not be what we've imagined. Where we've actually raised our eyebrows at certain lineups, we've gone on to do really well. So fair play, Dad. Shout out to you, because that turned out to be spot on, because whatever he did there with Reece James in midfield and Malo Gusto there worked so well. I mean, Malo Gusto, I think he had one of the games of his life yesterday. So that's one thing that you have to say fair play to Maresca for. But yeah, I mean, I'm just really, really thrilled, because maybe PSG did come in with that confidence or that kind of we've won before we played mentality. But for Chelsea, the way we rose to the occasion is something that we've always actually managed to do. Even when we've not been in our greatest form, we've seen even in the Premier League, we've still managed to rise to the occasion and just put on something. But Maresca, whatever, he did, it worked out very well. And I just want to kind of echo his words at full time, where he said, we won that game in the first 10 minutes. We really did. The way we came out the blocks, it was just fire, suffocate them from minute one, and we just never let go. So setting the rhythm, setting the tempo of that game, it was just ours. It was ours from those 10 minutes.
No, he was absolutely spot on there. We did set the rhythm. And just going back to what you said about Malo Gusto as well, I thought he was brilliant. By the way, I think Malo Gusto's had a pretty good tournament. He's got better as it's gone. Malo Gusto's been a bit like Chelsea. Started off meh, and then sort of improved again and again and again. And I was glad, I'm glad that he started, but I'll be honest with you, at the same time, I was a bit like, if we're going to invert this guy, then, I'm not sure how I feel about that. But what we ended up doing was bringing Palmer slightly further inside, and then he was overlapping, and they were almost 2v1 at times with Mendes. And I just thought that Malo Gusto, like, to us, we already knew this. This isn't even brand new. We already knew when the guy overlaps, when he's got the opportunity to go forward, he's a great player, and he's not one of those. I wouldn't compare him to Nuno Mendes in the sense of. He's not technically that gifted, Gusto. He's not really nifty with his feet. His passing is all right. His crossing's okay. He's not a massive goal scorer either. But he's almost a bit like, I don't want to say Aspilicueta. That's probably not the right word either. But I just feel like if you play to his strengths, you never get a bad game from him. He's one of those players that, if he's able to overlap, I know what I'm going to get. I might not get a 10 out of 10, but I'm never going to get a poor performance. And don't get me wrong, like, he's had a tough season, And the argument that a lot of people will have, but hang on a second, he has overlapped at times and hasn't performed. But I do think that if you don't have that rhythm and that consistency of a certain way of playing, it's quite difficult, especially when you're trying to adapt to something totally different, as in, inverting as a fullback into the midfield. So I give Maresca a lot of credit for the way that he utilized Gusto. I thought he was a really key part of that match, obviously involved in Parma's first goal or Parma's second goal? I think it was his second goal.
Which
I'm not
one?
wrong. Gusto.
Gusto, the first one where he had a shot off, he like kind of cut it back, and then
was that the first goal?
Yeah, he released it into Palmer, and then Palmer took a shot. Yeah, first goal.
I mean, Gusto was so influential, and I'm just so happy for him. Like, the guy's been criticised, and
yeah,
I mean, I criticise a lot of things, but I do believe that Gusto is one of them players that I've been quite lenient towards because of how good he was before, and I do believe that form can come back.
Yeah, no, you make some great points, and I think another thing on Gusto is the fact that I think, even in the first 10 minutes, just seeing him, even when we were on the ball, Malagusto was kind of occupying Cole Palmer's kind of spaces on the right-hand side, so Palmer drifted in centrally. But I think one crucial thing about that was Joao Pedro pretty much, I think, aided that whole little triangle with Palmer, Gusto, and himself, because he was moving non-stop. And again, he was just allowing for Malagusto to be there, sending shots off. That wasn't the only cross he laid off in that game as well. There were constant crosses coming on from that right-hand side. And it meant that there was more going on there with Joao Pedro and Palmer, who could be centrally. One thing we've always struggled with is it always seems like there's just nobody there. Like, no matter how many crosses you lay off, it's going nowhere. But I think for the first time, we actually saw having those two there constantly, trying to break down PSG's defense. It works perfectly because, obviously Maresca identified that would be one key way. But I did worry what would happen, if PSG did hit us on the counter, because then Reece James would have to cover all of that space on that right-hand side against someone like Kvaratskhelia, who's so quick and rapid. Obviously he didn't do much in that game because we didn't let him do anything in that game. But it just was perfect. He got it right to a T. It was so nice to see everyone understanding their role and just the energy we had. I mean, we were just killers out there. We did not let PSG, take or dictate at any point. Maybe just in the second half, there was brief moments where they did try to, danger us. Obviously, Sanchez was forced into many saves. And yes, I have to say, a lot of people have all come out and said to me, what about Robert Sanchez now, Nina? Because everyone knows I don't hide away how I feel about Sanchez. But, yesterday I hold my head up. He was incredible, and it did make me laugh, Alex, him getting the Golden Glove. I did have a giggle there. I was like, wow.
Yeah,
fair play, Rob. Like, that was what a performance. I mean, him and Donnarumma just clearly swapped before the game. They switched bodies, brains. I don't know what happened, but he turned into him in that game.
I remember when we were at West Ham a couple of years ago, and I said to you, I was like, I think at the time I liked Sanchez. I thought, I don't know why I was sold. Somebody, I don't know why I thought this, but I thought I didn't think his distribution was as bad as it was. I was like, it can't be that bad, his distribution. And I thought, he's a good shot stopper, etc. I remember you weren't having it, and you were like, Alex, I'm not a fan. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you weren't slating him, but you weren't excited. Yeah. You were like, I don't really know if I want to have this guy in goal. And then obviously he got dropped for Petrovic. I'm a huge Petrovic fan. Big, really, really sad that he's gone for 25 million. I think Bournemouth's got an absolute steal there. But I guess the problem is with Sanchez, you can't sell him for more than you paid for him. So then that's probably why he's not being sold. But, he's had, by his standards, he's had a really good tournament. The thing is, though, I'm not going to get critical with Sanchez on this game, but there is always a moment in every game. And he almost went a full match with nothing. But right at the end, there was a little opportunity where he almost lost the ball. I remember the commentator was like, That's the Sanchez moment we've been waiting for. And I thought, you're not wrong. But at the same time, like what he has been able to do in that match to be able to rise up to the occasion, it's not, I don't know how many players can we say this about? I mean, that was Robert Sanchez's best game for Chelsea. That was better than Bournemouth.
Could have
Better
been
than all
his
of them.
whole career, to be honest. I'm not going to lie and say I've watched all his games, but that definitely should be up there with one of the best performances he's had as a goalkeeper.
We don't give enough credit to the saves that keepers make. I mean, it's not even a Chelsea thing; it's just a football thing. They don't get enough credit for the saves they make. I mean, even the saves that look fairly basic, I watched them back and I thought, oh, saved that shot from Dewey at the beginning. I thought he was actually going the other way, and then he stepped back in, and it was a strong hand. His distribution was on fire. He was great with the long balls.
He actually initiated one of the goals, didn't he? He initiated one of the goals with that long ball he sent forward for Palmer.
Another great thing about Sanchez as well is like he's very proactive when he has the ball and he's got to go up. There's a lot of goalkeepers out there that they get the ball and they take too much time, so that you can't counterattack off of that because they hold on to it for an extra 5 seconds or whatever. And you hear the groans in the crowd, especially at the bridge. Like we had that under Kepa. We had that. Like every keeper had it. We've never actually really had that with Sanchez. But then on the flip side, what would happen in the Premier League at least was he'd release it too quickly, and even we weren't ready. And that's one of the worries, isn't it? But if you're going long like that and you're initiating counterattacks where even if you do lose the ball, they're going to have it way down their side. We're going to be in a position to be able to recover. I don't really have a huge problem with it. I think the issue is when you try and go quick and go short as well. And Maresca was I think it was a great game plan. Really, really intelligent. And Sanchez got to be a 10 out of 10. If it wasn't for Palmer, who's clearly the man of the match, getting 2 goals and an assist, then Robert Sanchez, very close second place. Because that clean sheet carries just as much weight as all 3 of those goal contributions.
Yeah, for sure. I think there were at least or definitely 4 saves in that game that were clear goal scoring opportunities or were going to be goals. Like there was some brilliant reflexes from him, and he was spot on with collecting the ball from corners and everything. We've sometimes struggled at that. We do concede from corners a lot, but for the most part, he was on the ball. But to be honest, even in the second half of the opportunities PSG had, it just looked like one of those games where they just weren't going to score. Even if you added another 20 minutes to that game, it just looked like it was our night. Do you know what I mean? Like something in the air. It was just meant to be for us. So
in a weird way, it reminded me of Porto when we beat City. Yes. City were obviously a great team, but they didn't really like. Of course, they had chances, but I felt confident that we would defend those chances. You have the nerves, obviously. The nerves never go away, but you also have that confidence as well. And I did feel confident throughout. And defensively in this tournament, we've been pretty good. We've been pretty good. I mean, defensively, Maresca, fair play to the man. Fair play to him. We've got to speak about Maresca in a second, but that's the clear and obvious improvement under Poch. I mean, we had a poor defensive record. We scored a lot of goals, but we conceded a lot of goals. So it was entertaining, especially for a neutral. A little bit stressful if you're a Chelsea fan, like the 4-3 at United, 4-4 against City. Lots of those kind of games, but the flip side is, you can draw a game and be entertained, or you can win a game 1-0 and you take the points. And there's obviously there's a portion of match going fans that want to be entertained. I would consider myself, to be fair, to be part of that.
Not this argument section. Again.
No.
But, you remember me, you and Charlie arguing about that in studio?
Well, I mean, Charlie's not here, so I mean, I do still believe if you're a match-going fan, you don't pay to watch your team win. You pay to be entertained. That's absolutely why you go. That's why they have halftime shows in America. Because if the sport's crap, at least you've got some good singing to listen to. And they had loads of, they had like Doja Cat, Coldplay, Robbie Williams, all of them. I'm not a big fan of the Americanization of football, but when they play tournaments like this in America, it's going to be Americanized. And to be honest with you, in a weird way, I embrace it. But don't bring that to the Premier League. Don't add that to any of our domestic competitions. And if you are going to do that in Europe, just do it in like the final. And I think we can live with that. We can live with it in the final because they want to make a show of it. Fine, it's not a problem. But if we're at Stamford Bridge and they start having individual player walkouts, like it's some sort of wrestling match, and then they're doing a countdown before every game, I just don't think that that's going to help the Chelsea faithful. I just don't think that's great for us. So leave that in America, please. And it was fun. It's now over. That's my stance on it. But just going back to what we were saying about the defense as well. One of the other good decisions I thought Maresca made was not starting Tosin and starting Chalobah as well. I'm a massive Tosin fan. I love Tosin. I think he's a great player. But I do think it was the right decision to start Chalobah, because one thing that we have seen with Tosin in the past is when we've been up against teams that try and press us, he can be a little bit slow on the ball. And that's something where Chalobah, I just think he's that little bit faster when it comes to passing out. I trust Tosin. It's not that I don't trust him, but I mean, if we're talking about small details that can make a big difference, I think that was one of them. And obviously you've got the pace as well with Chalobah, which is a little bit better as well. So when you're looking at that front line with Kvaratskhelia, Doué, Dembele as well, I want to match pace with a little bit of pace as well. So I think that's probably another reason. But I thought Chalobah and Colwell done a great job. And I think that was the right decision to start him as well.
Yeah, for sure. Agreed. I think again, Alex, like, is there any player that just was subpar or anything like that? I think everyone was genuinely at their very best. Like, one of the biggest talking points heading into the game was obviously the midfield. Like, you look at PSG's midfield, you look at our midfield. Like, obviously on paper, we know that we've recruited and built a midfield that we're very proud of, and is still, learning and growing, has become so brilliant. We know just how great Moises Caicedo is to us, Enzo Fernandez. We've got the likes of Santos now to choose from there. So it's such an exciting time for us. But to see them actually go into this game with no fear and be, so direct, interceptions, great, shielding the ball the way they did, and progressing it non-stop, not losing any time. You can't lose a minute, when you hit a team like PSG on transition. You have to absolutely use your advantage, because there is so much pace in that team, and not just pace, they got quality, so they can damage you if you make any errors. But yeah, I think our control was spot on. So really, really brilliant. Yeah. Joao Pedro, I think.
Nina, let me ask you this. Sorry, you were just saying that you don't think a player performed badly from our side. I'll give you a difficult question. Who was the worst player for Chelsea?
The worst? You can't say the worst. You have to say the least brilliant on the night. You have to say the least incredible on the night.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. Maybe I'm a bit too blunt.
Okay. Who?
By the way, guys, don't think of this as a negative. This is just me having a laugh. All right.
It's got to be a defender, because I mean, come on. But no,
clean sheet.
No one. Well, who else? Okay. No, Alex, I don't know. Everyone was so impressive.
Very tough question.
You can't ask that. Surely not. Everyone was brilliant. Everyone was really
I'll say.
We scored 3 goals, and we kept a clean sheet, but you can't name some of the forwards.
Yeah, I haven't really got an answer. I just thought I'd ask you an impossible question.
You can't say. But no, I just wanted to talk about Joao Pedro, who joined us literally 2 weeks ago. Like, how impressive was he yesterday? Because
What do you think the main difference is between him and Jackson? Obviously, we saw it like in the semi-final; it was night and day, but if you were to break it down and see what he brings that Jackson just isn't able to bring, like, is there anything clear and obvious to you?
Yeah, his movement, the way his movement, his eye for finishing goals, and his eye for just seizing an opportunity and not dilly-dallying with the ball too much. Sometimes Jackson feels the need to take a touch too many, or feels the need to do something that is just it's futile. I think Joao Pedro's movement, even yesterday, he was constantly trying to run in behind. He was constantly getting into pockets and helping Palmer. Their link up, I thought, was great. Jackson at times is way too wide. I like the fact that Joao Pedro, he still helps us out defensively a lot, but he also will literally like bomb up forward the moment that, we're on the ball and we're hitting the team on a counter. And I mean, come on, his finishing, when has Jackson, maybe he has, but the 3 goals that he has scored in the last 2 games.
Jackson, I'll be real, Jackson's never done any of it.
Do you think Jackson scores any of those 3 goals that Joao Pedro scored?
No. I don't even think Jackson.
And there's your answer. There is your answer.
Yeah. He's definitely the idea of getting a chance to shoot and just having a crack is very refreshing. And the thing is, but when you look at Joao Pedro, and we sort of have that almost Robert Firmino comparison, a player who's not necessarily a striker. He can play here, he can play there. He's quite flexible, versatile, but obviously still has qualities to play up top. I'll be honest with you, like, you look at most strikers in world football and you're very, very happy with what you see if they do what Joao Pedro has done in the past couple of games. So I'm sure that, I mean, I don't really know what to expect from Joao Pedro, to be honest. I mean, he was asked what he thinks about the step up to Chelsea from Brighton is, and he went, well, listen, I made the step up from Watford to Brighton, didn't I? So I think I'm capable of doing the same thing at Chelsea, which I thought was a really good answer. But he scored 10 goals last season, 5 of them were penalties. It's really difficult to understand where he can go. Because even in this tournament, it's just different, isn't it? It's different to playing in the Premier League. It's different. We haven't played against the low blocks, as much. So
in his defense, wasn't he injured for quite some time last season?
I think he had 1 or 2. I don't think it was major, but I think he was injured a little bit, but I'm not 100% sure. Let us know in the comments.
Here's me making excuses for him.
No, I mean, fair play to him. But I mean, Jackson was injured. He got 10 or 11, if I'm not wrong. By the way, I just want to say as well, like, people saying that we should sell Jackson, that they're celebrating the sale of Noni Madueke, which, to be fair, you probably should, especially considering we've got 52 million for him. I mean, that's the best deal ever. 48 million and then only 4 million in add-ons. How crazy is that? That's criminal from Arsenal. They spent a lot of money as well. I think they've got Yorkeres in. They just signed a defender as well. They've been spending. Thing is, we can spend so much more though, because we've made, was it 85, 86 million from the Club World Cup? And that's in pounds. That's great British pounds.
Yeah. God, I haven't even had time to actually comprehend the financial standpoint of it, just because I'm still trying to soak up how great this is just from a winning side of things. But yeah, I mean, 2 weeks he's been here, already scored 3 arguably of the most important goals for us. And yeah, I mean, even the fact that Liam Delap came on and almost scored a goal, a 4th there himself with that shot he had. Then there was another that was also saved. Obviously, Donnarumma was, pulled out a world-class save for that. But just to think we've got these forwards who are so hungry to come on and make a name for themselves, add themselves to the score sheet. Like, I have to say, this is another forward that I was just a bit like, okay, Liam Delap, yay, but also bring in someone else. And I guess, okay, you've got Joao Pedro in there. So could that be a complete sort of, forward-looking line there? Maybe. But yeah, to think that Jackson wasn't even looked to in this game. He wasn't even subbed on. He wasn't even needed, I guess. He almost is like a refreshment at times. But yeah, Maresca got the cool spot on. And, he could have done something like, oh, let's keep Jackson happy and bring him on, give him some time. But no, he opted to bring Liam Delap on. I thought that was actually a great decision. But yeah, I mean, Maresca, he got everything right yesterday, didn't he?
I thought Delap made a great impact, and that save from Donnarumma. I mean, two good saves from Delap. Delap could have easily scored 2 goals. He is a great substitute to bring on, especially in those games where you're up and you're going to have space to operate and counter attack. Because when we look at your typical target man, that's not a strength. Direct counter attack, dribbling at players, getting into those spaces and having that pace. But Delap seems to, I mean, that's actually one of his best traits in the Premier League. I think it's Delap is the number one ball carrier in the Premier League in terms of how far a distance he goes when he carries the ball. And Jackson's one of the next best.
He worked all of his goals pretty much solo at Ipswich, didn't he?
Yeah, very, very reliant on Delap at Ipswich, which is, I guess, one of the big question marks when it comes to Chelsea, because if he is up against a low block, we haven't really seen too much of that. So that's going to be new territory. But I mean, if the guy can score 12 goals at Ipswich, let's not sit here and act like he can't score at least 15 for Chelsea. And that would be impressive, but also expected at the same time. I mean, Maresca's said it himself. He doesn't need one player to score 40 goals. And with the players that we're bringing in and the players we already have as well, you kind of see that logic. Joao Pedro, I don't think he's a 30 goals a season striker, but that's 10, 15 easy. Jackson, he's proven that he can get double digits. Even if people don't want to admit that, he can get double digits in goals, most certainly in GA as well. Palmer, then you bring in Delap. How many of us said? So I said Pedro, Palmer, Jackson, Delap. That's 4. And then I'd like to see more contributions from Neto, to be honest with you. He seems like the next player who could potentially step up and start scoring more, because he's been our best player this tournament.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, no, I agree. I think Neto he's one of our liveliest forwards, and he's, one of the best creators. He's a playmaking winger more than a goal scoring winger, isn't he? He always has been, even at Wolves. He never really came up with numbers for goals, but a great assist sometimes nevertheless. But yeah, he certainly. And you can tell, Alex, can't you, that he just wants to score. Like, he's so disappointed sometimes when he lays a shot off, it doesn't work out. But yeah, I think his time will come, hopefully, now with with all these players that we have. Again, you said Joao Pedro, Delap, Cole Palmer. These are all players who could also hopefully boost his numbers a little bit. But I guess time will tell. But I really like Neto. I always have. I think, there's a lot more there that, like, he's a good player when he's not spoken about that negatively, even though he's not scoring goals, if that makes sense. Like, usually any other day, a winger that's not producing numbers, he'd definitely just be ready to sell him, whatever. But the fact that we're still holding on to him, and we're keen on seeing where that goes, then maybe there is a little bit more to anticipate from Neto. But yeah, time will tell. But I still would like to see him grow, and I think he loves his time here at Chelsea, doesn't he? He's so close to the group. He's very happy to be here. And I think that's such a big takeaway I get from this group right now, is they're all just happy to be together, and there's a lot of chemistry forming. They're very close. Like, did you see how Cole Palmer and Tosin embraced at full time as well? It was literally like it was like a big brother moment where it was like, proud
big
of
uncle.
you, big uncle Tosin. Yeah, so. Yeah, it's just such an exciting time for us. I feel like we say that a lot. We haven't had it easy. You spoke at the start about how this is definitely our best performance in this new era, and maybe a lot of things kind of just fell into place and felt a bit complete yesterday, truly.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to Neto as well, what you were saying there, I think he's probably the closest thing we've had to Willian in terms of defensive work. Great. Like,
well,
a lot
he
of
needs
people
a few more free kicks scored, and then maybe.
Yeah, Willian did like a free kick, but Neto takes a few corners, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
He take a few corners.
He does. He takes a lot. Yeah.
Some set pieces in there. But I'm just thinking more like the defensive work, right? And Willian was never like a massive goal scorer either. But Neto's been really consistent in this tournament. And I did see some stuff online about Neto being one of the few players that they didn't enjoy watching, but he wasn't there to be pretty. He was there to track back and help out on that left-hand side. And Cucurella had a wonderful game, but Pedro Neto helped him out a lot. And we were almost going in. We were basically going into a back five at times when Neto was coming back and helping out, because you had Due on the right, if I'm not wrong, making a few runs. And when Cucurella was caught out, Neto was the first player to go and cover him. So they never had the opportunity to run into space without a Chelsea player all over them. I will also say this, Nina, like, Mendes is obviously considered to be one of the best left backs in the world from a PSG perspective, especially going up in that system. Like it's shown that he's basically been unstoppable. Defensively up top as well. Like he's been great. But I think that if you are having a conversation about the best left back in the world, I think it is honestly between those two. I think it's between Mendes and Cucurella, and that's not even an outlandish take. I think as it stands, Cucurella is 100% the best left back in the Premier League. So then I look around the world and I say, who do I put in the same bracket as him in world football? And I think Mendes is probably the only player that I can compare. And I probably will still say that Mendes edges it a little bit just because of his ability on the ball. And Cucurella is great on the ball, but Mendes is another level. But defensively, I don't think there's actually better than Cucurella. I really don't think there's better.
How many goals has Nuno Mendes scored this season? Do you know?
I'm not sure, but I know he's involved in a lot of their attacks. I would consider him to be more of a. Fuck! I see you. Sorry, I missed that trick.
Thank you. Good morning, Alex. But no, I was going to say though, they do have a lot of similarities in the way they do help out offensively. Like that's one of their biggest strengths. Cucurella has been so crucial in our build-up play that at times he just almost does look like a winger. Like, we call him Alonso sometimes. He bombs up and you never know where he's going, what he's doing. But there he is sometimes. He scores headers for us too. But yeah, honestly, but to nullify a play like Nuno Mendes yesterday, and not just him, but some of the other players as well, like even Delap, the way he beat Marquinhos for that opportunity where Donnarumma saved it, it looks so easy, it's honestly incredible to think we nullified some of the best players in the world yesterday.
Yeah, I think that the midfield is probably the one area that we just dominated from the off. Obviously, we got to give credit for the midfield controlling the game. We have to give credit to obviously Palmer and Joao Pedro for putting us in the lead, but that the defense equally contributed. And if it wasn't for Cucurella's interception, I think it was from Doué, tried to cross it to.
Yeah, that would have been 1-0 there.
That would have been 1-0. Look, it looks quite basic to an extent, but it's only basic because Cucurella made it look easy and he read the play well, because Doué could have easily shot, and then you would expect Cucurella to go in and block, but he had it in his head that, and this is also, I suppose, trust, is that he trusted that Sanchez had his near post covered. And then he got that interception. Cucurella had two moments again, Fluminense as well, like that goal line clearance. That guy has been so valuable for us. I am really nervous about the contract renewal when it comes to players like Cucurella, because these are some of the few players that we have in our squad that were signed on big money contracts that weren't incentivized to fit into our wage structure. And I'm just worried that if we do end up renewing, because I think Cucurella would have signed a 5-year deal, and he's 3 years into that now. So I hope that Clear Lake just suck it up, just renew the contract, man. Don't mess around. We are looking at some seriously hot property, and probably worth more now than when we paid for him. I'd say he's that good. Or at least close to that amount. I'm not sure exactly how old Cucurella is, but he's younger than Tosin, and Tosin's our oldest player.
He's young. I'm not too sure how old he is.
So he's still mid-20s.
It is kind of bizarre we have to worry about these things though, isn't it, right now? Because you look at it almost just feels like we literally just recruited them. Like the fact that, you talk about, here we were a couple of years ago questioning why we are absolutely obsessed with Brighton's model and why we seem to want their whole, their whole staff room, their whole squad. But, you look yesterday, Robert Sanchez, Marc Correa, Caicedo, Joao Pedro, 4 players that helped us win the Club World Cup in the way they did. Moises Caicedo, someone who's been, like you say, up there with the best midfielders. Marco Correa, the best left back. Robert Sanchez, not going to go with any superlatives or bests or anything here, mate. Sorry. But, okay, you had a great game yesterday. Fantastic. But, it's just more of like it makes sense from a recruitment perspective with a lot of the signings we've made that, we did give them time. A lot of them didn't work out. We have sold many of them. Many more will go, and still reinforcements to make. But obviously the biggest question is going to be turning into next season. Can we sustain this? Can this performance be grown into something bigger and something more long term? Because that's exactly what we need. Like, we're all ecstatic to win these trophies. We absolutely are. But, we're all dreaming of one thing, and that's being up there in the Premier League, challenging for a title at some point. And that is, again, the next kind of thing. I guess that's exciting in a way that we're almost, here we are winning things, winning, but there's still more to dream of. And there's still that Premier League trophy that we're all still very much dreaming of. But definitely from Maresca's standpoint, a good first season, completed what we needed, top four and winning the Conference League. But I must say,
Nina, it's better than good, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but
It's
it was,
great.
for many people, Alex, it was good because he completed what he needed to, getting top four and then obviously winning the Conference League. But he has gone a step forward by winning the Club World Cup. Because to be honest, when we actually started this competition, I was like, okay, well, how far will we really get? I never, ever in a million years thought we'd win this. So that's just an extra golden star there. So yeah, you're right. It is more than good. He's done very, very well.
I said I was on TalkSport earlier, and I did a fan cam after the game anyway. I am so surprised, but I'm so glad to the same extent, almost a little bit embarrassed as well, you could say, but proud at the same time. Like all of these mixed emotions because of the way that I've spoken about Maresca, and I've been so strong on that opinion. And it's just like, especially winning that game, it's just second half. I was watching it and I was like, we're beating PSG 3-0. Like, what is happening? What's going on here? And it's the guys smashed it. I don't know about you, Nina, but that made me a fan that game. And in fact, I have to ask you, are you a fan after that game?
Yeah, I'm a fan. I think the thing with Maresca
Or a
is
supporter? Maybe that's a better way.
yeah, of course, but we always said, like, we've had our moments, you've had your moments where we've criticized.
Oh
Yeah, you've had your moments, and we've always criticized, but I feel like as Chelsea fans, we just are a little bit traumatized with managers and having faith and then things not working out. But that's just how football goes, right? But it's not absurd to think and be apprehensive when Maresca came in that we just didn't know what he was about. Like, let's be real, nobody was raging and going, woohoo, we've got Enzo Maresca at the wheel. Like, no offense, but the guy has barely managed in English football, won the championship, great stuff, but coming into the Premier League with still things maybe a little bit better than with what Graham Potter inherited and maybe what Pochettino inherited in terms of the turmoil of the club and what was going on. Guess things were a little bit more settled now after the summer transfer window, but at the same time, still a tough job, right? And, he started off well, showed a lot of promise, and things took a bit of a toll and we weren't really able to cope with the pressure. But maybe that was just something that we had to endure. And don't get me wrong, Alex, this is no time to be pessimistic or to be worried about next season because we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But we could still face difficulties and uncertainties with Maresca. He's still figuring himself out as a manager as well. But what he showed yesterday, if he can do something like that, then what's to say that he can't think of something that could almost become a sustainable way, or that performance could become a sustainable way of playing it, could be our footprint for next season. God willing, all these players stay fit, or most of them anyway, because let's be real, a couple of these players out, we're looking at a very different Chelsea side. Come on, let's be real. So if Maresca can just continue and build on this and finds a system where he integrates some of our new signings as well in a way that let's be real. For me, Caicedo is irreplaceable at the moment with any other player we have in our squad. If he gets injured, you don't get that quality from any other player. Can we just agree on that? Cole Palmer, equally, goals or not, what Cole Palmer brings to this team, I don't think any other player in our team does either, to be quite honest with you. Maybe some fans will say, maybe an Esteval or whoever coming next season, but the truth of the matter is we do have these certain few players that are just levels above right now, and without them we could struggle. We could really face difficulties, and again then people will again maybe turn on Maresca and la-di-da-di-da. That's just how football goes. But with what we saw yesterday, if Maresca knows how to set us up against PSG, who are literally in their prime right now, then why can't he set us up in a way to beat the reigning Premier League champions, you know, to go and beat City's, Arsenal's for fun, and maybe do the double over them like next season, something we've not done under Clear Lake. So let's see where this goes.
There's a lot to dissect from that, but I mean, going back to what you were saying about potentially having ups and downs throughout the season, I mean, there's certainly a good chance of that happening. There's zero chance of Maresca getting sacked. He's earned that opportunity. I always believed that before he got top four and before he got the Conference League, he didn't have a leg to stand on, because what am I going to trust? The fact that you won the league with Leicester? No disrespect. Yeah, it's not enough when you're looking at a top job like Chelsea. But he now has a number of credentials to put to his name and say, listen, Chelsea, it's not just about you backing me. It's about what I've done for you. And this is what I can continue to do. So he can look back at that and use that as leverage to gain more control at the club if he wanted to, with regards to transfers, buy himself time in difficult situations. And I think he's absolutely got that trust from the club. Let's not forget, not only is Maresca the chosen manager from Clear Lake Capital, but he is the first manager out of all the managers they've appointed that's actually been successful. And we can sit here right now and say we've had a successful season, which we wouldn't have said about Potter. We certainly didn't say about Lampard and Pochettino. Successful in his own right, but nowhere near what we've achieved this season. In terms of a progression, it's way further. And then obviously, yeah, we do need some depth in other positions, because if Cucurella gets injured, where do we go from there? But I will say that if you look at players like Palmer, you just said, what are we going to do if Palmer gets injured? I think this is where we are being quite smart in terms of the recruitment. And Maresca's certainly been smart with his comments, because he's come out saying that he's not looking for one player to score all the goals. We then look at Palmer this season. His numbers have clearly gone down. But what you are seeing is that there are other players that are contributing. Now, should those other players still do more? A lot of them, absolutely yes. But if Delap's going to give me an extra 15 goals, or just say GA, don't even say goals. All right, if I'm going to get 15 GA from Delap, I'm going to get that from Joao Pedro. I've already got 30 there. Neto doubles his numbers, more than possible, because I think he got about eight goals or something, maybe even less than that. I think Neto can get 10, 12. You know, these are top players playing in a top team where they're going to have chances created for them. So immediately I found you 40 GA. All right, 40 GA in there. So that's why I feel better. And I haven't even spoken about Esteval, who I think is not going to play every week, but I think he'll have a part to play. So if their goals are spread around, then we're not going to be reliant on one individual, and we're not going to be in trouble if they get injured. That's my stance on it. But I think irrespective of that, it will affect the way we play and the way we look, which will affect the match going experience for players and fans. Because if we don't have Palmer in the middle creating, and we've got to replace him with, I don't know, Dewsbury Hall, then we're going to be much less creative. And that means the football is going to be slower. We're not going to create as much. The fans are going to want to see more. And that's kind of always the beginning of that toxic spell that you have at times throughout the season, where your team isn't necessarily scoring the goals. But I think a couple more signings, and I think we'll be fine here, to be honest with you. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to win the league, but I think we'll be more than capable of getting into the Champions League. And a progression would be a domestic cup and doing well in the Champions League and basically getting top four again, maybe finishing third or second. I mean, that would be like great, but we'll have to see what other business is done before we can really come to a conclusion.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's fair because I think right now we just do need to embrace our journey. And by that, I mean, we are just returning to the Champions League, right? So for us, that's another ball game that we've been missing. So let's see how we get on with that. I'd love to build a little bit more consistency in the Premier League, like you say, and definitely be in a stronger position to be in and around, but sustainably in, that top 4, maybe even top 3 position. Why not? But for me, I would always like to get maybe further into a domestic cup as well and see if we can try maybe win an FA
Yeah.
Cup or a Carabao Cup or something like that, just to, get our hands on that winning feeling at Wembley again, which we haven't seen in forever. But yeah, so nobody's really dreaming or expecting us right now to go, oh, maybe from other perspectives, and other people will say, yeah, Chelsea needs to go and win the Premier League now. But I don't think that's the case from our side of things. I'd love to see how we get on in the Champions League, build some consistency in the Premier League, and really just figure out what we look like next season. And yeah, but like you say, until business is done, we see what we look like. We can't really say, but yeah, I think right now this group is becoming a lot more comfortable with maybe more expectations, which is good. It's not a bad thing, and they certainly should. I mean, it's warranted by the fact they've just beaten the best team in the world. You can absolutely have some self-esteem and be proud and hold your head up high. But we'll see how we get on, and again, it's so exciting. I said at the start, every time I'm in Bulgaria, it feels like I'm excited about something new. I was excited about Pochettino a couple of years ago, excited about, whatever that is going to look like next.
Yeah.
Last year it was Maresca and what that. So I feel like every year I've been here in the last 4 since the takeover, or 3, however long it is, we've had a new manager at the wheel. So it kind of feels reassuring to be headed into next season with Maresca and to know that he is here to stay, because like you said, he has earned it, and we just have had too much change. We need to now kind of focus on this stability in this group who've now won a couple of trophies together. That's not, to be looked down upon. We struggle to be competitive and win a trophy. Now we've won 2 in a month and a half. Maybe some people will frown upon them. Oh, it's the Conference League, it's the
How
Cup.
can you frown upon that?
How can you possibly, when this group has just been up and down, left, right, and centre on a crazy roller coaster? So yeah, it's brilliant.
I didn't realize how many kids Maresca has as well. I saw the picture of him and his family. He has like 4 kids.
So sweet. Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many too. But are they all his kids?
Well,
Or
I
is
don't
it
know
like
the details. Oh, I'm getting the nod. So yes, they are his kids.
Oh, that is adorable.
I don't know, but yeah, he does strike me as a manager who's stable. That's one thing I've always thought about Maresca. Even if I didn't like what he was doing, I was like, I don't feel like he's a very erratic manager. I mean, he had moments where he pissed a few people off, calling out the fans in the stadium, attributing a loss to, or the reason we dropped points was because of the atmosphere in the stadium. Complaining about the weather at Brentford. But I suppose every manager has phases where they, to be fair, they're always going to do whatever they can to defend their team. And at the time, especially the day after, if you're pissed off about a loss, you're going to pick on these things, aren't you? You're going to go, stop talking about the weather and start winning us some games. Focus on what we can control here. But yeah, Maresca, I don't know. I don't think I can have any conversation with people without just smiling about the turnaround. I think it's a great turnaround. A lot of people are frustrated. I read some of the comments after the fan cam I did. A lot of people are almost frustrated that I've changed my stance. It's like, guys, what I say isn't a fact here. This is an opinion, and opinions are open to changing. And if I've admitted that I was wrong, happily, and held my hands up. And to be fair, I will say that I did say to the comments, tear me to shreds. Maybe that's part of it. I was I deserve it. I was like, you know what? Fair enough. I've said a lot. You give it back as much as you want to. I deserve it. But I'm absolutely. I'm going to be in support of any manager who can perform for Chelsea. Like that's the stance of any fan. And then the second thing is not just results, it's the way you play. Now, I will say this, which is that the way we played, I've already mentioned was the best performance under Clearlake and Bowley's ownership, the best,
Mm.
and the best result, the best of both. Okay. Now you can get away playing however you want to play, to be honest with you, if you're winning titles every year. You really can. But if we do get to the season and it's February, and we play slow football, lethargic, not direct enough, not creating, very passive, and there's that frustration around the bridge. It's never a surprise, because match-going fans want to be entertained. You bring that entertainment factor to the games, even if you don't win a trophy, you'd get more sympathy because people enjoy watching your team. And I think that's one of the big things that I want to see next season. And like any manager, with better players, you play better football. And I do believe that we have a better squad now than we had last season already. And that's a testament to our recruitment, because they saw a vision that even we couldn't see. Andre Santos coming in, Esteval's about to join the squad. We've got 2 new strikers. And yeah, it's really, really optimistic. I mean, you can't say anything otherwise.
Certainly, yeah. I think really, really exciting time to be a Chelsea fan. I think we're all really pretty pleased, and I think we deserve this moment. You know what I mean? Like, we've had some dark days, and we've been forced to believe that, oh yeah, you're all entitled and la 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 la. This is what we have to enjoy. But yeah, I think we deserve it, and yeah, it's not been pretty. Like you say though, and like I said at the start, we will definitely still hit dips in the roads. It's not all going to be smooth and plain sailing, but I guess we'll find out more about ourselves and Maresca in that time. We saw that when that spell in December happened and we lost those games and we fell out of top 4 and things got dark, like, Alex, can you believe that July, about 5 months ago, we were at a protest outside of Stamford Bridge? Can you believe that?
I mean, in fairness, the protest was for something separate. The protest was more about the way we're being run, and in a lot of ways that hasn't changed.
Still, in that moment, so many people are like, where is our club headed and what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
what is the vision? And here we are now. We've added 2 trophies to the cabinet. We've completed the set. It's happy days. We look a lot bigger, better, brighter. So yeah, just to think how things change in football, honestly, from today to tomorrow, things are so different. So yeah, really, really exciting, and we'll see where this takes us.
I do think that the way that the club is run in some aspects will still cause a lot of people to be unhappy, because you've got to look at the season tickets, the price increases, things like that, Ticketmaster, the software. Well, it's true, isn't it? Like when we look at the protests, especially if people talk to me, and in fairness, nobody's really brought it up. Jeff Stelling did on TalkSport, but apart from that, nobody else did. Like that. See, that's not a footballing problem. That's an issue around the club. And I think as long as the football club is basically operating to the highest level and winning trophies, fans will be able to suck it up more, because the owners can go, hang on a second, look at what we're bringing you, look at the players, look at the type of football, look at the success, and fans will go, fair enough, which is totally fine. But that there is, I think we need Chelsea to be successful as well, because they will make their money through our success, rather than hopefully stripping us of all of our assets and making life worse for us as a fan base. So if we, by winning the Club World Cup, by achieving what we have in terms of Champions League qualification, hopefully that gives them the revenue that they want, so that they can continue to invest and sort of lay off of the fans a little bit, because it does worry me if, especially if we would have missed out of the Champions League, how else were they going to recoup those funds? And we still have a lot to learn about Clearlake. I think Bowley, we kind of already know what he wants, but I think they just want to sell the club when it's at a good value, and if the club increases, then they'll get the money they want, and we can all move our separate ways. But I think Bowley's here to stay, but I don't think Clearlake are. I think, well, they're private equity. So I don't know. I don't know. That's a bit separate. So yeah, I'm so don't think that that's my mood, guys. That is. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a great mood, and I've got to do a call-in show as well because I don't
Yeah.
mind. I would happily host the cooking of Alex, like my
Wow.
own cooking, where I just sit there and basically just take abuse and just suck it up. I mean, I deserve it, so it's fine. I'm here for it, guys. So if
Get
anyone
it
wants to see
started
the
in the
cooking of
comments
Alex,
below, guys. Get it started in the comments.
I will host a call-in show, and you can come in. Obviously, say what you want, but not
Keep it
don't go
respectful.
overboard here. And yeah, you can have it out. So I think that would be a good idea. Nina, do you fancy joining the cooking?
Oh,
Or
I'll
do you
just be
want
there
your
to
own one?
watch. Yeah.
Cooking of Nina.
I'll bring some popcorn, some ice water, and just enjoy.
There you go. Well, listen, thanks so much for coming on, Nina. Really appreciate your time. Where can people find you? Obviously, they can find you here.
Obviously, they can find me here, yeah, and also over on Nina's Chelsea Corner.
There
Yeah.
you go. Go and subscribe to Nina's channel as well. And we will catch up very soon, guys. All the best.
Well, never sing that.
Have a good one, guys. Bye bye.